everybody. So this is EdShift, and it is a monthly webinar where Smart's team of strategists, that's me and this guy, Matt Wallace, you're looking at, dive into the research behind educational trends and practices to understand why they benefit students. And then we translate them into lesson design and walk you through that student experience. So Matt and I, as strategists, spend our time talking to school districts, to leaders, to teachers, to influencers in the education space, as well as doing our own research and observing classrooms in action to understand and apply the topics that we dive into. We'd actually love to connect with any of you if you guys like to talk education and are interested in kind of influencing our strategic development pieces. We'd love to connect with you. At the end, there'll be a survey where you can put your information in, or you can just pop your contact info in the Q&A so not everyone can see it, and we'll reach out and talk more. This is obviously a series of webinars. Each webinar in the series is going to take you through a topic. We're going to highlight the research behind it and why it matters for our students. So we're really taking this through the lens of the student. We're then going to explore how that will look in the classroom, show you some corresponding educational content, and walk you through that student experience. As a follow-up to your session today, you're going to receive an email to the email address you registered with. It's going to be a copy of our presentation, which you're welcome to use as you see fit, a link to the recording. That link, some of you registered in our Smart 360 platform today, and some of you registered directly through the Zoom link. If you haven't checked out Smart 360, there'll be a link to do that in the follow-up email. That's where all of our videos live, along with a lot of other really great resources. So we invite you to kind of come in there and explore after the webinar. And then also in that follow-up email, we're going to give you a link to the lesson content that we delivered, so you can use that or share it with your teachers to use. And we'll link you to some webinars that actually dive a little bit deeper into the how-to. So we're going to really be talking about students and what students need today. We won't be showing you a ton of how to do it, but in that follow-up email, we will send you to a place where you can learn that. So feel free to chat with us throughout the session. We definitely want this to be as interactive as possible so that you guys get the most out of it. So team here, like I said, it's me and Matt. We are smart strategists. Between the two of us, we have, I don't know, more than 50 years educational experience. It makes me feel a little bit old. I don't know about you, Matt. But we're both really passionate about, engaging and influencing teachers and students and making sure that they succeed in the classroom. So I've been talking a lot. Matt, tell us all the great things that make you a strategist.
Oh, well, thanks, Chris. So as Chris said, I've been a lifelong educator right out of college. Actually decided, I think back in high school, I was coaching a bunch, I played soccer, but I was coaching a bunch of 6-year-olds, and I got a thank you from one of the kids, and it just sunk in at that point that that's what I wanted to do, was to help others. And that began my life into education and coaching. And it is what eventually led me to SMART. But I did start out 12 years in high school education. I taught 12th grade government in Virginia Beach. I'm still based in Virginia Beach. I did then do a short stint in administration. I was actually very anti-state testing. So naturally, the job I first took was overseeing state testing for our school, and also looking over our school's remediation plan at that time. I did leave the classroom and the school system in, oh gosh, it's almost 10 years ago now, back in 2012. And I went and worked in higher ed for both Pearson and Cengage, with Cengage giving me my most challenging position, which was kind of a strategist as there too, to help college professors learn how to integrate technology, which was, again, one of the most challenging because they're not used to learning how to teach. They are the academics, but learned a lot there before coming to SMART 5 years ago, and I've enjoyed every moment of it. I love K-12. Although I was a high school teacher, over the last 5 years, I've spent a lot of time in elementary school, and I don't even want to say that I'm a de facto or maybe a JV, elementary school teacher, but do have plenty of input coming from there. So, Chris, let's hear about you.
Awesome. Well, I'm certainly excited to have Matt here. So so I like to call myself a global-minded educator. I was pretty passionate about the underdog. I had the fortunate experience as a young child. My parents plopped me off to a foreign country and dumped me in a school where the culture and the language weren't mine. And I think that is where my passion for education and, you know, the power of really great educators developed. So my education experience really ranges from pre-K to high school in more than one language. I've taught overseas and in the US. My focus has really been around supporting ESOL students in their core content classes. So I launched an ESL program. I got a school IB certified. And so I took my passion for science. I was a high school science teacher and really wrapped kind of language instruction and technology around that. I've been with SMART for almost 10 years now. The beauty of the role I'm in now is while I'm not directly in the classroom teaching, which is for sure one of my passions, I get to spend a lot of time working with teachers and being in classrooms and really understanding how we can impact both our teachers and our students to make them successful. So let's jump into today's content, Matt. So the empowered learner, integrating voice and choice into your lesson. So let me take you through the agenda really quickly so you know what you're getting into here. So we're going to talk really about the benefits of encouraging voice and choice. So tied to the research that we've done, we're going to dive into the best practices. If you were going to do this in your classroom or have your teachers do it in the classroom, what are ways to guarantee your likelihood of success? And then we're going to ask you guys to be students, and we are going to pop you into a lesson. I'm going to ask you to participate in that. We'll experience that. And then if we've got time at the end, we'll do a little bit of Q&A. All right, send me to the next slide, Matt. So I think that the events of 2020 only make this statement all the more powerful, right? Like back in March, in the mere blink of an eye, our students went from working face-to-face with their teachers and their peers to the somewhat isolating experience of learning at home online. And the pandemic has kind of persisted, maybe longer than we wished or hoped. And students are learning and teachers are teaching in a wide variety of environments, right? From virtual to hybrid to physical that's socially distanced. We're thinking about synchronous and asynchronous learning with a new lens, with a new intensity, and all of us, students and teachers alike, are growing the skills we need to work and learn in this new world. So choice is a pretty powerful motivator, I think, for all of us, but especially for our students. Way back in my early years of teaching, my school spent a year focused on teaching with love and logic. And I have to admit, I kind of doubted when we first launched into it. I was a new teacher and I thought I know a lot. I doubted that it would make a meaningful shift in my classrooms. I was teaching freshman science at the time. And I was wrong, like completely wrong, just giving away little bits of control to my students. Just simple choices really made dynamic changes in my classroom. So thinking about that and like fast forwarding to now, here in 2020, where students have little voice in the instructional models for their districts. So their school may have chosen to focus on core subjects and students are missing out on subjects that they're really passionate about. They may be in school some days and at home other days. They may be getting extra support because their district was able to get special populations back into the classroom, or they could be a kid who's still mastering English and trying to learn math on Zoom. So circumstances are really forcing our kids to work harder than they ever have before. And so we have to consider, how do we give them voice and choice in their learning to kind of prompt and drive that engagement that they need to kind of dig in and do some really hard stuff right now.
Yeah, Chris, and I want to add that, I think every one of you on this call, we have to give kudos to, because I was talking with the group from Michigan the other day, and I don't want to make the assumption that you're feeling the same way, but every day is a new day, and every day we're learning something new, or we're being told to do something new. And in that environment, it's now the time to take those risks. Myself are in that environment where we allow that freedom to happen, and we really try to encourage, those students, our students, to take, similar risks. Some teachers are talking about students being, what's the new term, ghosting, where they're jumping on and they're running away. Well, let's find those ways. Let's work together, all of us, to try to figure out those ways that we really can, capture their passions or find out what they are deciding to run off to instead of focusing on that learning. And so I do think it's a challenge, but I think it's something that now is the perfect time for us all, to really engage in it and work together in it.
So let's talk about the why. So why does student voice and choice matter? And so many reasons, so many ways. But if I want to kind of look at the top three there, like number one is increasing student motivation. Number two is improving learning. And number three is development of global competencies. And if you came to the last EdShift webinar, and if you're coming to another one, you will know that I am always talking about global competencies, because I think there's something that we really need to develop in our students. And like looking at the environment today, right? It's those skills, it's that flexibility. It's, being able to communicate that's allowed them to adapt to the environment they're in right now. So let's hop to the next page. So right here in a really great article by Larry Ferlazzo, he highlights kind of these 4 pieces that really drive motivation in our learners. And the first is autonomy. When we give students control over what needs to be done and how it needs to happen, we make them agents of their own learning. So now they're in control. Competence. When students feel successful, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about self-differentiation later on in the presentation, they want to continue, right? They feel successful and they use that to get to the next step. Relatedness, like students want to work in a way that connects them with others. And I think that's more important now than ever before, right? They want to feel cared about, they want to feel respected, they want to feel connected. So